You've surely heard Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, or Frank Sinatra singing about Mac the Knife. This Kurt Weill song, originally written for the Threepenny Opera, was added just days before its 1928 premiere. When Weill brought this opera to the USA, this part took on a new jazzy sound and became a hugely popular standard. Kurt Weill was born in Dessau, Germany in 1900. To a Jewish family where his father was a cantor. It seemed natural that music and Jewish traditions were deeply integrated in his life from the very beginning. He started playing the piano at age 5. In 1919, he studied opera coaching and conducting, and ended up at Berlin's Art Academy in 1920. There, Kurt studied music composition with pianist Ferruccio Busoni, famous for his brilliant playing. The following decade was very fruitful for his career. Weill experimented with styles, forms and genres in music. He composed orchestral suites, medieval poems, choral pieces and more. His first attempts at opera produced 2 one-act operas, Dear Protagonist and Royal Palace. They brought him fame as a promising young composer. In 1927, Weill met prominent writer Bertolt Brecht, a meeting that was to become a landmark in both artists' careers. Both artists shared a radical view of theatrical and musical performances, and thus developed new tendencies far removed from bourgeois opera traditions. They both wanted theatre to be openly political, reflecting the social and ideological problems of the country. Their first opera together, The Little Mahogany, was based on Brecht's poetry and told the story of an imaginary city where there was no God except cash and no dreams except wealth. The traditional stage set was replaced by a boxing ring, something the audience had never seen before. Based on a libretto seasoned with bittersweet passages and sharp cynicism, Weill and Brecht created the sound of Weimar Germany. The sound of, as The Guardian characterized it, helpless, furious laughter on the precipice of catastrophe. Weill's wife Lotte Lenya played the leading role, and for many years they and their collaboration were considered inseparable, until the couple divorced. His political criticism and Jewish roots made Weill a persona non grata after the Nazis' appearance in Germany. Even though Weill believed that this situation would be temporary, he couldn't overcome the will to create. The artist left Germany, and his music remained forbidden there for the next 15 years until the end of World War II. Starting in 1933, Kurt continued his work first in Paris, then London, until he ended up in New York City, which became his new home. Later, Weill would recall, "I fell immediately in love with this country, and my success here is mostly due to the fact that I took very positive and constructive attitude towards the American way of life and the cultural possibilities in this country." In the USA, Weill dedicated himself to the theatre. He experimented with different forms, including music for plays and operettas, musical comedies and tragedies. Years later, when Life magazine called Weill a German composer, Kurt wrote a letter to the editor saying, "Although I was born in Germany, I do not consider myself a German composer. The Nazis obviously did not consider me such either, and I left their country in 1933. Weill decided to research American music in order to develop new facets of his own style and to reshape the form and content of theatre music. His aim was to find the country's modern sound and create commercially and artistically successful pieces. Although Weill truly cherished the American lifestyle, he never lost sight of his Jewish roots and tried to transplant his Jewish identity onto new conditions. During this adaptation period, Weill would often write synagogue pieces and pay tribute to his father's work as a cantor. By 1935, Weill had secured his own niche. He considered himself a theatre composer and characterized his style as melodious. "People say they can recognize my music when they hear only 3 measures of it," he once told the New York World Telegram. Weill's greatest Broadway hits were performed during the war years: Lady in the Dark and One Touch of Venus. Some of his songs were transformed into jazz compositions. Weill cherished jazz for, in his words, its rhythmic and harmonic freedom, simplicity of melodic material and directness. Kurt Weill died suddenly at the age of 50 from a heart attack. From that time on, many artists from Nina Simone and Judy Garland to The Doors, Robbie Williams and David Bowie, interpreted and recorded his songs. During his lifetime, Weill often stated that he didn't give a damn about writing for posterity, but his music resonated with and channeled his era more than he could imagine, and thus remains a faithful reflection of the culture of that time.